In 1992, Mike Tyson was convicted for rape charges and he went to prison. And right before that, he was considered as the undisputed champion of boxing. And as soon as he got into prison, he lost the things that he had access to as a champion. So the mindset, the motivation, the coaching, the nutrition, and everything that comes with being a champion. However, when he got out of prison, he was still in shape because he was still training and still boxing in prison, but definitely not at the same level as a boxing champion. So as a high performance athlete, this definitely impacts your performance and it makes it a bit difficult to do a proper successful comeback. But then speaking of comeback, something really interesting put him back on track. The tomato can strategy. He had his first comeback fight scheduled versus Peter McNeely, an Irish boxer, and that fight was very easy one for Mike Tyson. They both lasted in the ring for 87 seconds. And Peter McNeely was considered the first tomato can. So 6 months later, Mike Tyson wins again against Buster Mathis Jr. in 3 rounds. And then 6 months after that, he regains the championship from Frank Bruno. So how do you think a boxer could regain the world championship title that quickly after getting out of prison? Well, you can say that Mike Tyson is a special type of boxer and that he's a warrior, he's a specimen. And that is completely true, but it's not exactly why he won that easily. So in the boxing world, the tomato can strategy involves setting a fight where one boxer is bound to win. So let's call the winner here Boxer A. If Boxer A hasn't trained in a long time and he's making a comeback, then the people that set the match make the boxer fight a weaker opponent to begin. And the objective here is to guarantee a first win, like they did with Peter McNeely and Mike Tyson. By guaranteeing a win, they make it much easier for Boxer A to win following matches as well. So the tomato can strategy that has been known for ages in the boxing world is what the psychologist Ian Robertson calls the winner effect. He is a Scottish neuroscientist and a clinical psychologist and also the author of the book The Winner Effect: The Science of Success and How to Use It. The winner effect applies to humans and even animals, and it follows a simple rule. If you win a contest, even against a weaker opponent, the mere fact of winning that contest will make it more likely that you will win also the following ones. So for example, in the animal world, when an animal beats a weaker opponent, it gets on a roll and this enhances its ability to defeat a stronger opponent later on. Animals who win are primed to continue to prevail. So in his book, the main idea is that short-term winning is detrimental to long-term winning. Winning small battles every day contributes to hormonal and behavioral changes that lead to more wins, and it makes the whole process more enjoyable and much easier. So at first we can think from a behavioral perspective, which is quite obvious to me, that when we win, we create a momentum and a positive reinforcement cycle and a virtuous cycle also of positive mindset, which makes the process easier, more enjoyable, and makes us perform better because we're excited. So we get the ball rolling because of that first win. A win acts as a confirmation of your skill set. It gives you positive signals that you're on the right track, and that leads you to more wins. A win could be performing a habit, honoring your word, overcoming a challenge, helping a friend, achieving an objective in your personal life or in your professional life. It's completely subjective on what you consider a win. Because at first, when we talk about wins, the first thing that comes in mind is a championship, a title, a competition. But in reality, a win is a really subjective thing. But we can win in front of ourselves, in our daily competitions, or in the competitions we set for ourselves. When I think about the winner effect, I can't help but think of the performance of the Moroccan team in the last World Cup in December. They started by winning important but unexpected matches such as Belgium, Portugal, and then that led them to win even bigger teams and stronger teams like Spain and perform really well against France even though they lost. And that for me is the perfect explanation of the winner effect. So even though they were playing really well, they were very well prepared, but every win contributed significantly to the following win. So the first unexpected and important wins created a huge momentum, and that made them completely unstoppable. Hence their incredible performance at the World Cup. So we can say that with every win, we build momentum, we build confidence, and we improve our skill set. All that is true, but the winner effect goes a bit deeper than that. So what could also be the reason for such striking, unexpected, and continuous wins, such as Mike Tyson, the Moroccan team, or any wins of that type? When we win, our body generates testosterone in greater quantities, and that increase changes our brain chemistry by creating more receiving stations for testosterone in the future. So how does that happen concretely? After a win, we get all pumped and fired up, and we have all this testosterone in our bodies in greater quantities because of the win. But after a few hours, we go back to our initial state. However, in the next similar challenge, you will have all this testosterone flowing in anticipation, and you'll get also fired up and pumped up even before the challenge. And since because of the first win, you already have more stations to receive testosterone in your brain, you would have more of it. And what does testosterone do, especially in case of challenge or a contest or any competition? It makes you more competitive, more aggressive, and more motivated. Especially more motivated to win. This change in brain chemistry creates a snowball effect, which then will make the winner gain a competitive edge, creating more opportunities for winning, and so on. So by following this cycle, the winner will always be bound to win, and the loser will also be bound to lose again. Knowing all this is great because next time you're facing a win, you'll better understand the positive effects that will happen thanks to this win, and you will try as much as possible to capitalize on them. And then we might ask, how can we make the most out of this winning effect and create it in our daily lives? So the first advice Ian Robertson gives in the book is a mindset shift to always focus on immediate success and never focus on losing. He argues that the mere fact of visualizing or thinking of a win or the process of winning would have significant positive effects on the brain in terms of hormones and chemicals secreted. If we focus on success, then we also anticipate it and we put our minds in approach mode. Whereas when we're thinking about losing, we start to go in avoidance mode. And that completely changes our posture. So when you start to think of losing, it has a spiral of negative effects on the brain. And instead of increasing your testosterone, your dopamine related to thinking about winning, you do the complete opposite. You increase your cortisol levels, so your stress levels, you become too agitated, you don't focus as good, and then it worsens your performance. Just the mere fact of thinking about losing will be detrimental to your performance. And I personally could confirm this technique because I use it a lot in my sales job. Before an important sales call, when I find myself really stressed, really anxious, I know it's an important call and I don't want to lose it, just the fact of focusing on losing or focusing on being stressed would make me stumble more on my words, more anxious, less structured, and less straight to the point. I will use a lot of fluff words to make the person or make the prospect in front of me feel that I know what I'm talking about. Whereas when I know or when I think beforehand of a good performance, a time where I had a good deal, a time when I was winning, it makes me more confident. It makes me just put myself in this winner mindset. And it reminds me that if I did the first or the last sales calls good and it went good and everything went well as I wanted it to go or how I wanted it to go, then there is no doubt then this too will go well. And just this mindset shift changes completely the experience and also the outcome. So this is a simple technique that you can use before engaging in anything, whether a challenge or a contest or anything of that sort. Just by visualizing the process of winning or just visualizing the end goal of yourself winning and really feeling it or remembering a previous performance, it has a significant effect on the brain. It gives you a boost, makes you less anxious, and makes you surely perform better. Ian confirms all that in his book. He says that when we think about winning or having a successful performance, we engage in the success approach circuits of the brain, making us smarter, bolder, and less anxious. He says the less anxious we are, the better we perform, the more we win, the smarter we get, and the whole virtuous cycle starts there. He also gives the example of fake it till you make it. He did a study, or he was talking about a study of a group of men and women who did the power pose for 4 minutes, and they both had significant positive impacts and changes in the brain and their brain chemistries and their hormones. So by doing the managerial pose, for example, putting your both hands in your waist or taking more space, you mimic the behavior of a winner. So then you can always argue which one comes first. A winner would have increased testosterone, would feel more confident, and then the body language would change and the posture would change. So they will take more space, they will be more comfortable, less anxious, and that would appear and that would translate in their demeanor. So he argues that if we flip the equation, instead of starting with the win, starting with the posture, which is normally considered as the result of the win, that you become confident, and you start by doing the power pose, then you will mimic in your brain the same series of positive effects, and you will also increase your testosterone, decrease your cortisol levels, and also ultimately increasing your dopamine levels. So the second advice here is to create more wins in our lives, not by delusion, but by engineering it in our lives, by creating more contests, more challenges, more little things, more habit to form or habits to break, but just by making sure that we have in our disposition more wins every day, or we try at least to acquire more wins every day. And that would make me draw a parallel of the previous video on this channel I made about the Stoic advice of facing challenges, physical, mental, and facing also voluntary discomfort. I think that this is the explanation of this philosophical notion, but more from a psychological perspective. Voluntary discomfort is pretty much the same thing. You face a hard challenge that you set for yourself, because once you overcome it, you prepare yourself, you harden yourself, and you become better equipped to face more challenges in the future. So this is a really philosophical notion that the Stoics put forward a lot in their books and their writings and in their teachings. And I find that the winner effect is the psychological, scientific explanation of what the Stoics were preaching thousands of years ago. So the goal here is to be intentional with the objectives we set for ourselves, to manage to create a proper solid momentum. This is a key part, because when goals are internalized, a win can be subjective. And that means that we can create it for ourselves. An internalized goal would be something you control 100%, or in other words, that completely depends on your actions and decisions, versus something that is outside of your control. So here, a quick example for an internalized goal versus an externalized goal. Simply put, an internalized goal is I want to go to the gym every single day. An externalized goal would be I want to lose 1 kilogram every week. If my goal is to go to the gym, then it depends entirely on my will, on my action, or on my decision. I'm the one in complete control every morning to decide whether or not I go to the gym. But the fact of losing 1 kilogram every week is not entirely dependent on me. There are lots of external factors come into play, like genetics, like metabolism, etc. So the key part here is to understand the difference between both types of goals, and to always focus on what you can control. And again, this is another Stoic idea of the dichotomy of control and setting goals that you can control, and just always focusing on what you can control in life and completely ditching anything that falls outside of your control. By doing this and improving, not only we're testing ourselves and proving ourselves that we are capable of overcoming challenges, we're also improving every day. We're acquiring the small wins, the marginal improvements, or the 1% every day that would lead to more and more wins and even bigger wins, and it will make the whole process much easier. We can design our lives to give us success. You don't have to win a championship to feel like a winner. The goal is to feel that you've improved or had a marginal improvement in one of your skills over a period of time. A new habit, a new hobby, a new business idea, this is all it takes. The more you win, the more likely you are to win in the future. And the more you lose, the more likely you are to lose in the future. So create a life where you can have wins every day, either by forming habits, breaking habits, setting challenges, setting objectives, but be intentional and always focus on something that's going to make you improve 1%. It's also possible that you wait for wins. You wait for a pay rise, you wait for a promotion, you wait for something you wanted to buy, etc. But it's much more impactful and efficient to engineer your life into having these wins every day and always being in a constant state of winning. And that will completely change your mindset. By creating this for ourselves, we become the architects of our lives. Thank you for watching.